Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Anthony. Great stuff. We'll catch up to you guys a little bit later. Right now, we got Thomas Wasson, loaded and rolling.
Loaded and rolling. Like a coffee
Thomas
commercial.
Wasson with loaded and rolling.
I gotta pay him. We gotta pay a voice actor.
Yeah, we do.
Get big enough and just have a little twang, loading and rolling.
There you go. Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. So what's on your mind today, man? What are you loaded with?
Well, we're loaded with some cool information from the newsletter. The first one is it's not a breakup, it's just a split. XPO.
Oh, they're just testing it out?
They're testing it out. It's not you, the investor, it's me. And what it turns out when they say that is, well, there's a conglomerate discount, as GE unfortunately learned back in the day, where if you combine everybody together, stock people and equities analysts, either for various reasons, they'll discount it. And we say discount, you could have been worth 150, you put them all together, it's like 110.
And now why does that happen?
It gets tricky because then as a publicly traded company, you have to go in and like parse it all out and then...
No, but I mean, why does it get discounted like that? Is it because not everybody likes the same thing? I mean, does it come down to that some value this portion of it more or less than the other portion of the company and separate, then you have your followers for each, really, that value them both higher? Is that kind of how it works or what?
Well, how it will work is compared to the market likes to think of something as a pure play.
Okay.
So pure play LTL like Old Dominion. Combination conglomerate XPO, investors are going to naturally somehow be suspect, even though the fact is they both do, they have their own portion. So
it's because they're not concentrated on that one, and therefore it's not going to be as efficient and as effective as others.
Correct. Strategy. And in their filing, that's what they talked about. They were like, well, now we can focus on strategy. We can focus on, making sure that each segment separate can now focus 100% in doing that one thing.
So they're not completely splitting. But so what are they, separate divisions now, and therefore they can focus on their things? What is the what is the wall?
Full splitsies. I mean,
okay.
you get 2 Christmases at this point.
Oh, all right.
Oh, yes. That's what they're saying, too, by the way. When they split the equities and the shares, it should be worth both, and they're going to hash it out. But they will be 2 standalone companies. The new name of the, whichever one doesn't happen to be XPO Logistics, is yet to be determined. But very exciting
XPO Logistics
stuff.
And not XPO Logistics.
Yeah, and their CEO is Mr. Jacobs, and he was known for being able to make deals. And one of his biggest pet peeves, there's a really cool story we got in the newsletter about how that very problem. He was like, dude, I'm doing all this stuff, and you guys are valuing the summation of my parts as less than what they could be alone. So that was part of the decision making there. They already divested their stuff from Europe when COVID had happened.
Yeah.
But they're planning to do that for a while.
Yeah.
So
Brad's a master at creating value for shareholders.
Correct. So you got to imagine if you're wheeling and dealing, making $8 billion worth of purchases from 2012 to 15, you got to be a little flustered in the fact that the analysts don't understand what you're doing. It's like if Picasso decides to do a painting and then everyone wonders why it's on this format instead of this format. It's like, bro, I'm doing work here.
I think Picasso would be a big NFT guy.
I would love a Picasso-themed NFT. Half of them I couldn't make heads or tails of the first half of the NFTs, and so postmodern could really
go in a
good direction.
Excellent stuff. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about one of my favorite old shows was Junkyard Wars,
yes.
Bro. And you're talking Junkyard Wars in Loaded and Rolling. What's going on?
We have Junkyard Wars. Trucking companies need parts, and the biggest problem is right now that it's really hard to find the parts. And so the New York Post, of all places, did some reporting on the Junkyard Wars. Half their sources said, yes, they keep coming here. I just don't want to tell anyone who because it's apparently embarrassing. But
they went to the junkyards and said, who's shopping for parts? And they said, well, off the record.
Off the record, everyone's coming in. So they're salvaged titles. So let's say that you're the trucking owner and your truck gets hit. It happens a lot, sadly, even in parking lots.
Sure.
You file the claim with me, the insurer, and then I'm basically saying, I'm going to get you the value of your truck. Hold tight. The hold tight part
comes in the mail.
Exactly. But while that happens, they're going to the salvage companies and they're calling them up and said, hey, I got this truck lightly used. can you get me money for it so I can pay
Driven once a week on Sundays to church and back.
Yeah, until the catastrophic failure, but still good. And what they're doing is they're selling them out, they're parsing them out, or they're refurbishing them. Someone else is paying for it. Insurance gets its money, you get the check in the mail.
Yeah.
And then another aspiring trucking company gets more capacity in the market.
Right.
So what we are seeing now is salvage revenues per that reporting have gone up about 20 to 30% in the previous year. And so we're in a situation now where we got to find parts. Class 8 orders was the other thing I talked about. It's like 21,000. People tell me, Thomas, what is 21,000? Well, it used to be 50,000 a year ago, and we're down quite a bit because OEM manufacturers are playing it safe, playing it cool, and basically only making a certain amount due to part shortages and also disruptions from Ukraine. So how do we deal with this now? We buy them used. So what you're going to see now is people are just going to, junkyard loot these trucks, and they're just going to do whatever it takes to keep them on the road because there's just a lack of spare parts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I talk about back in the day. Every once in a while, I've been in the business for 34 years. So at Roadway Express, back in the 80s, we had a thing called spring cleanup. And we would literally go with our district maintenance managers, and we would go to the junkyards and look for parts for trucks. We were running like 1972 C800 cab overs for city, which are beautiful for city running. But at that time, I could have put historical plates on them if they weren't commercial vehicles, right? Yeah. And we would look for everything, for all kinds of parts for those things. So we used to do that just to keep those because nobody was making them anymore, and they were great trucks. Now it's out of complete necessity just to keep the fleet on the road, right?
Correct. And a lot of times with the reporting, the fleets were not prepared for maintenance cycles. Say you're a large fleet, the plan is you're going to buy these things and you're going to hold on to them for 3 to 4 years, and then you have two choices, both of which are great as a carrier. Yeah. You either sell them to other carriers or you make them lease purchase. Right. And oh Lord, does the gravy train come in when we do the lease purchase deals, because that truck could have been bought for like $150. Amortization and depreciation, a fancy term of your stuff isn't worth as much as time goes on, means that it may be down to $75,000 in normal times. We are in non-normal times right now, to say the least. So what you do is you sell it to an aspiring driver who is tired of having to be told what to drive. Half the reason drivers become lease purchase owner operators, LPOP plans, is because they want to pick their own freight. So then here comes the representative with the lease purchase company, normally partnered with the carrier, and they say, hey, you want a truck for $120,000? And they say yes. No credit check required, no down payment needed. Just sign on the dotted line, we'll get you on the road, and bam, your 2016 Freightliner Cascadia, lightly used, 500,000 miles, and a slight smell of cigarettes is good to go. Yes, there were 5 dogs living in it, but guess what? All dogs go to heaven, and it's time for you to drive, brother. So,
I love it.
We're in a situation now where trucking companies are at year 4 and 5, and it is not pretty. From my experience at a trucking company, here's exactly how the conversation goes. Everything's fine. A month later, and we find out diesel goes up to $5 a gallon. Somebody from the top starts screaming, and they go, what is going on? Why is this so expensive? I'm pissed. And then finally, as the little minions of the trucking organization, I was one, we would have to scurry about and find solutions. And one of those solutions is go to a junkyard. Because the wear and tear on these trucks, it's like buying a car, year 4, year 5, little things start to break. Yeah. In non-pandemic times, when little things start to break, you get it fixed. Nowadays, the little things are in short supply, and now your truck is stuck waiting for
That's why they make duct tape.
Yeah. And you can't duct tape a DEF particulate sensor is the problem.
I don't know, my friend.
I'm thinking of a potential business opportunity.
Plenty of bobby pins in our shift linkages, that's for sure.
Give me, what is it, a voltage tester, some duct tape, and some glue. We'll just make it work.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent stuff. Hey, Catches Loaded and Rolling. It's excellent stuff. As you can see, you laugh a little bit and you learn quite a bit. So, Thomas, excellent. What do you got on the horizon?
So we're going to be talking to Scott Bernhang on Monday. We're going to talk about fuel. We're going to try to break it down and make it interesting. every Monday at 2:30. And then with the newsletter, it's usually bi-weekly. And we just kind of see what vibes, what's important. That's my biggest goal. If you're going to read this thing, you're going to learn something, you're going to know it's important, and then it's just kind of like a mismatch. It's like a buffet. You don't know what you're going to get sometimes. But most of the time, it's fresh. So I don't, I don't do that to my readers.
You've got to guess. Give me some more of that blue stuff, Clark. It's delicious.
Exactly.
Excellent stuff, Thomas. We'll catch up with you a little bit later. Catches loaded and rolling, like he said. And right now, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.